For our first segment, we have a leader who skyrocketed a family-owned and managed company from $90 million, US dollars that too, revenue to a whopping 625 million US dollars, growing at an ever increasing 16% annually. Let's give it up for a man with the golden, did I say golden? I meant platinum touch. We have with us Mr. Dinesh Aggarwal, Joint Managing Director, Panasonic Life Solutions India. A big round of applause for Mr. Aggarwal. Mr. Agarwal, of course, as in when you're walking to the podium, the question to you is, sir, what is that one life skill that you think that you insist everybody should increase by 16% or more annually? That one life skill which will make our lives better.
Be a better listener.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. And on that note, Mr. Agarwal, stage is all yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. So it's wonderful to be here, this morning in this absolutely fabulous place. It's the first time I'm visiting here, and really compliment the organizers for selecting this and organizing this show. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The world in the last 2 years has changed a lot. I think you heard the statement, you read the statement many times. It's changed the way we look at spaces, right? The spaces, our residential spaces, the office spaces, the spaces we go to entertainment for, right? There's a need for more privacy, those corners in home where we can have our own private life while we are a part of the entire family. And likewise in offices, the whole flexibility of working and so on. The sensitiveness towards security, towards hygiene has certainly increased. So all this is having a bearing in terms of how we design and construct the various spaces that we live and work in. So before I get on to the subject of home automation, I'd just like to take us through, what's really happening in the world, right? And this is very important because, the world is obviously changing. And we, as part of this infrastructure creation, whether it's a residential infrastructure or a commercial infrastructure or an industrial infrastructure or public infrastructure, we do have certain responsibility, and we need to be conscious about that. And when we develop technologies, I think somewhere these things have to be at the back of our mind, right? So what's really happening is that there are 5 key areas that you need to understand in terms of urbanization. So 3.5 billion people today are living in cities, and this number is expected to go up to 5 billion by 2030, right? 95% of the urbanization, people moving into the city, is happening in the developing countries, which includes India. Housing accounts for more than 3.7 billion tons of greenhouse gases emission, right? And of course, the pressure of urbanization, and you can see it in a city like Mumbai, is creating a lot of challenges for the resources, right? And this challenge will keep increasing. So this vision document, which has been created by the World Business Council for Sustainability, it basically says that the spaces, the living spaces, home, offices, etc., they have a huge bearing on our psychological, physical health, and also in terms of the relationship and the quality of work, right? So, the quality of workspace that you have, the whole ambience determines your productivity. So the Vision 2050 says that we have to build adequate housing, adequate workspaces, and spaces for leisure and community engagement. So the vision is of healthy and inclusive living spaces, which is thriving in harmony with the nature, right? So health and well-being, affordable housing, net zero construction, right? And use of recycled and renewable materials. These are some of the expectations which are coming in from this body. So the objective is, can we halve the total emissions in the construction sector by 2030 from what it is today? So as I mentioned, that buildings contribute to the climate crisis. 40% of the energy-related greenhouse emissions are coming from the construction industry. 40% of the global resource utilization is happening from the construction sector, and 40% of the global waste is generated by the construction industry. So these are all the facts. But on the other hand, the fact also remains that 1 billion people still don't live in pakka houses, right? They live in slums or in unformed housing structures. By 2050, the square footage area that we have across the world, square meter area around the world, will become double. There's so much more of construction which is going to come in. Rapid urbanization and transformation. So all these factors are going to further exacerbate all these emissions and wastage generation. And we need to keep all this at the back of our mind. So there are many ways of achieving this transformation or the conservation or achieving the sustainability. And in each of these areas, there is a technology intervention that is possible. So if you look at energy, obviously there's an energy in terms of renewable energy, in terms of saving energy, energy-saving devices. If you look at mobility, use of renewable energy to generate power and onto electrical vehicles, which is already happening. So every sector, there is a possibility of technology intervention, and we can actually consciously move towards these objectives that have been laid towards the environment and towards the world in totality. So, building the cities of tomorrow, this is something which Panasonic had envisaged many years ago, more than 10 years ago, that we need to create sustainable towns which can fend for themselves, right? Because Panasonic, at the core of Panasonic lies a better life and a better world. So we continue to, our commitment to make life better, bringing happiness to people, helping society develop in good ways, and protecting the future of the planet. So cities of tomorrow, what we did was we had a plasma television factory near Tokyo, about 70 kilometers from Tokyo, called Fukushima, which we flattened, and we created a city of about 1,000 dwellings, 1,000 individual homes, which is a fully sustained city. What is important is that this city generates its own power, and it has excess power which it actually gives to the other parts of the city, right? So this sustainability has been brought in by Panasonic, creating 3 cities in Japan already, 1 in Denver, Colorado, USA, and there's 1 coming up in Germany. And this endeavor continues. So in India also, we have a similar vision. Right now, we focus on homes. We are working now on gated communities, and we are hoping that someday we will be able to create a ground-up city which is fully sustainable and uses various technologies that we have used over the last few years. What is important for a city like this, a smart city like this, is not just technology. You need to have quantified target. What is the objective of creating that city, right? Those objectives need to be very clear so that you know how you're progressing on those. So, for example, in this city, Fujisawa, we said we will reduce the carbon dioxide by 70%. We will reduce the water usage by 30%. 30% of the energy which will be used in that city would come from renewable sources. And because Japan is prone to earthquakes and flood, and the city is very near the coast, we said the city will be able to survive in case of any calamity for at least 3 days, right? Again, what is important is not technology, not the hardware that you put in. What is important is what you really need. What are you trying to achieve? So we start from the top layer, that what is the life, what does smart life mean, right? Today we are living, all of us are living. Is that a smart way of living, or can we make it smarter? Can we make it better? So we start with those objectives. Then we come down and see that, okay, what can we use from nature, right? What is available to us in a given area? So this city, for example, is near the sea coast. It's obviously very sunny. So how the city has been designed in a way that the sea breeze which comes in, the lanes are created in a way that it creates a venturi effect, and there's a self-ventilation of the city that keeps taking place the entire day, right? Which naturally brings in fresh air, and it also brings down the air conditioning load, right? And solar, of course, I'll show you later how solar is used for generating power for the homes and the entire city. Then comes the infrastructure above the ground and below the ground in terms of achieving this objective. So what we focused on was 5 services. So we said the community living, the mobility, energy, generation and saving, security, naturally, and healthcare. These are the focus, the objectives that we kept in mind. And then we said that in the living, in the community living and individual living, what are the various areas that we try to enhance? So eating, staying healthy, working, learning, playing, and so on and so forth. So this is where we started from, from the top, from what does it mean? What does it mean to live smartly? So all the buildings, all the homes are connected with each other. There's a seamless internet connectivity. So there are cluster of homes which communicate with each other. These homes also communicate with the various other elements of the city, which includes a hospital, a school, a shopping mall, and so on and so forth. So it's a seamless connectivity between homes and the commercial, official, buildings in the entire city. And how does it help? Because it's a two-way communication, right? So today, while you're getting information on one hand, you're also passing on the information because your health monitoring, for example, is being done online. All your parameters are being tracked on a regular basis, right? So if there's something wrong, you actually get a call from the hospital saying that, careful, your sugar levels are going up, right? So that's how the smartness has been, built in, into the city. So as I said, there's a citywide platform. It's a two-way communication, and there's a seamless internet connectivity. That's imperative. So this is what the element of a smart city, according to us, is. So there's a smart house, there is smart energy uses, a smart community, which is very important, mobility and security. Now, what is Internet of Home, right? What are the homes of tomorrow? I mean, I can go wild, and these are, of course, some of these are already becoming a reality. In the cities where space is so less, whether it's Tokyo, London, New York, what's going to happen is a vertical growth. It's already happening, right? So the engineering materials will develop in such a way that you'll be able to go mile high, right? And when you go mile high, how do you ensure that your sanity is not affected, right? So these buildings may perhaps be windowless. When you go beyond a certain height, they'll be windowless. So what you will have is perhaps instead of the windows, you will have screens which simulate the day, right? The daylight, and then going on to the evening, you might even see the stars and the moon and so on, right? So that's a thought which is happening because there's no space. What else do you do? Aging population. This is a big problem across the world, right? And it's actually beginning to happen in India as well now, though we are a young country. What do you do with the aging population? So there are two possibilities. One is you design homes in such a way which can be reconstructed. They can be realigned, as you get married, you have children go away, then you're alone in the house, you get old, you need devices to help you. So all of that, the houses are constructed in such a way that you're able to modify the house at different stages of the life. The second part of it is assisted living, right? And this is something which is again growing in India and elsewhere, where you have, places where you can maintain the dignity of yourself. You're not dependent on anyone. You're paying for it, but you're maintaining your own dignity to be looked after. Third area, which is again a very area of concern, is the heating of the entire world. The temperatures rising, right? We keep reading, we keep hearing about it. So the buildings of the future will obviously have to be constructed in such a way that they're able to keep the heat out, and more importantly, use that heat for a good purpose. So how do you translate that low energy heat to a high energy heat and then pump it into the district cooling system so that the entire building's air conditioning can be taken care of? So these are some of the technologies that are being worked on, and while we speak, these are already work in progress. So what will be inside the homes? There'll be smart energy efficient appliances, right? There might be a solar rooftop which is powering your house. There's a robotic smart kitchen. So there could be robo arms helping to chop and cut and dough your flour. And it's all work in progress. I mean, look at the iRobo product, the Roomba product. I think one thing which has happened during the COVID is the adoption of technology, of very fast adoption of technology. Dishwashers, robotic cleaning machines, and one has learned that these machines are good, right? So they actually can take care of themselves. You can be out working, both the husband and wife can be out, and the house gets clean on its own, right? Personalized interior decor. So you might actually have fabric which changes color, which changes designs, texture, right? And then you have homes for well-being, again, a very important aspect. So in terms of the lighting, in terms of the clean air, the SOx, NOx, the particulate matter, all of that reduces. And, the lighting follows your circadian rhythm, the way the sun moves. And you get a perfect atmosphere the entire day, which is less stressing. So most of the houses, they may not look, as obscure as you see in the science fiction movies, but the fact is that they will be, you'll be able to change the spaces the way you like, and there'll be a lot of these technologies inbuilt into the houses to give you more comfort, to give you energy saving, and most importantly, to give you security. So security, energy, and comfort are the three elements on which any automation is based, right? Of course, if you look, if you look at the market today, it's dominated by security, but comfort and energy saving is increasingly becoming an important element. So 10 years from now, so already 63 million homes in the US have some form of automation. They are smart homes. IoT intervention is happening at a very fast pace. Most important is the ingress of artificial intelligence. What is important is that today it is a one-way communication where you give a command, light dims, or a scene is created. But what do you do with so much of data, right? I change the channel, I like a particular channel, I change the channel, it's done, the action is done. What happens to the data? Nothing. What's really happening today is that data is being collected, and this data is being analyzed and is being translated to an action. That's really what a smart home is going to be like. A thinking house, right? It's not a house which only follows a command. It's a house which also recommends you what has to be done. That is what a real smart house is going to be, right? So this whole business, we've been seeing this for about 15, 20 years, automation, home automation, adoption, acceptance by the developers, etc. So it's taking off, but it will really take off when the cost-benefit balance really happens, right? So today it's just a fad, but it's beginning to show the benefits of acquiring. So today if I buy a Roomba iRobo at 70,000 rupees, it looked expensive. But now when I look at what we went through COVID and the whole hassle of managing maid servants, suddenly it starts becoming, looking like a very attractive technology, right? This is what a technology is all about. How can it help me ease my pain, and how much am I willing to pay for that? So very quickly, that's a home automation market. I mean, I wouldn't, all of you know this, that in various rooms, what are the various devices you can control? The market is very, very attractive. It's at about $3 billion. This includes appliances, includes security devices. It'll move on to about $8 billion by 24. The drivers are, of course, internet availability, disposable income, right? Smartphone adoption, and then, of course, the rising need for security and convenience, and you're willing to pay for it. Challenges, of course, are installation time, the technology hassles, most importantly, security. What happens to my data? Can my device be hacked? Can someone, hack into my house and enter the house? Yes, all these are possible. So that's a negative part of it. But the government is supporting in terms of manufacturing, in terms of R&D, in terms of the human resource creation, especially on the IoT side. So these answers will have to, evolve as we go. So who are the players today? The traditional IT companies, the startup companies. So IT companies, of course, because they're already having clients, so they're helping the clients get onto the automation side, whether it's for manufacturing or for the retail operations, etc. Then there are IoT companies which are focused on a vertical, single vertical, either homes or they could be on hospitals, and they're the ones who are actually innovating, and they will become a part of the larger landscape. And then, of course, there are the traditional process companies which are again helping their clients adopt, and the adjacent IoT companies which are basically helping in data analysis and and controls. So the target segments, again, I will not dwell much time. So there's a B2C, there's a B2B. B2C is all of us in our homes. We look for basic functionality. We essentially go by aesthetics and basic functionality. We're not too concerned about anything beyond that. B2B, of course, are the appliance manufacturer, device manufacturers who are trying to build intelligence into devices and machines. So it could be a washing machine, a refrigerator, microwave oven, which thinks. which thinks, right? Uh, the consumer profile, two kinds. There is premium customer, there's the other customers. The premium customer is more concerned about the brand, more concerned about the technology being contemporary, and of course the aesthetics. Uh, the other customer is looking for basic functionality. Of course, aesthetics always matters, but basic functionality. Builder, system integrator, architect, interior designer, electrical contractor. That's the ecosystem. And which is the most important part of the element of the ecosystem? The architect and interior designer. They are the ones who are really deciding today for the end customer which automation system they should go for. And their choice largely is based on aesthetics. What are the interfaces that you have on the wall? Does it match with my interiors and so on? Of course, the basic functionality has to be addressed. When it comes to the developer, depending on the kind of project, the developer tries to minimize his investment per square foot. Very, very normal, right? So the developers still have that tend towards cost, while individual customers are moving towards differentiation, both functionality, aesthetics, and so on. So builders will have a limited role to play when it comes to premium housing, but they will have a pronounced role to play when it comes to the mass housing, right? So I said this earlier, that architects are playing a huge role, whether it's individual homes or developers, in making the choice of the system. If you are a new entrant into the market, not only the architects, the other set of people that you need to appeal or move and gain a space for yourself is the system integrators, because they are the ones who help in integrating the various components and putting up a solution to the client. So they become a very important set of people to work with and influence. Very quickly, what Panasonic has done in the last 2 years is integrate all its electrical products and the appliances on a single platform. So today, all Panasonic products talk to each other, and they talk intelligently. So if you're sleeping in the night, your fan and air conditioner is talking to each other, right? So that means on a summer night, in the beginning of when you sleep, the fan and the air conditioner both are running at full speed, whatever temperature. Towards midnight, when the temperature drops, the fan will come down. The speed will become lesser, or it will stop. That's the kind of intelligence we will keep building up in this platform called Mirai, which literally means future homes. And we are extending now this to non-residential spaces and the public infrastructure spaces. This is what, to us, the house is. It generates its own power. It stores that power in battery packs, lithium-ion battery packs, very slender. In Japan and very early stages in India, what's happening is this whole thing about hydrogen power, right? In Japan, it's already happening for storage. So you have a gas supply coming in which splits the water into two, hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen gets stored and it generates power. So this entire house is powered by the solar energy and hydrogen energy. And all the appliances are very low power consuming appliances. And then there's an energy monitoring devices inside the house which optimize your electricity use. So there's no wasted electricity. If there's any appliance which is at a sleep mode, it switches it off. And then, of course, there are various security elements and clean air. Now, clean air is a big area which will come in, and we are bringing in the recovery ventilation where fresh air is coming in, filtered for PM 2.5, filtered for SOx, COx, etc., which gets pumped into your house at a regular interval, along with the air conditioning, so that the living conditions in your house are safe and healthy. So, thank you very much. This is what our view about the whole entire home automation is. I'll just repeat myself and say that while technology is great, we should also keep in mind the future generations and work towards it, towards achieving the energy goals, toward achieving the sustainability. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.
Thank you so much. Sir, we would request for you to kindly stay with us a little longer. That was absolutely amazing. A big round of applause for Mr. Aggarwal. Absolutely fantastic, sir. And yes, we are open to one question. So who's that lucky person? Any questions? Right there. Wow. First come, first serve, sir. Can we have the mic given? Yeah.
Sir, your second last slide talks about the home auto, that hydrogen system with solar home. So what is the capacity available for solar home?
In India, we're not selling right now, but we are doing the rooftop solar, starting from 1 kilowatt going up to 7 kilowatts.
Up to 7 kilowatt. Yeah, thank you.
My God, sir, we have to mention, I mean, The close eye that the audience members are paying to all your slides, the second last, as well as asking the capacity. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Wonderful answer, sir. And yes, we would now request Mrs. Nisha Jamwal to kindly come on in and present Mr. Agarwal with a token of appreciation from our end.
When was that?